I've had the privilege to drive all over the world on some epic roads. And one of the greatest roads I've ever driven is just 16 miles north from where I live. Angeli's Crest Highway is 66 miles of scenic and challenging mountainous road that climbs to over 7,000 feet. I drive here all the time. I've even driven in snow on it less than 60 miles from downtown LA in May. But today is a particularly special day on my favorite stretch of curvy tarmac because I'm here to drive a world record holder. So today I decided to drive my most undercover vehicle, the 02 Chevy van, to drive this. The Agera RS hypercar, the car that set the world land speed record at 277.89 miles an hour. Much like the Viking longships that came before, which were designed for agility, speed, and exploration, Christian von Koenigsegg set out to conquer the world and claim the production car land speed record. He achieved his goal in this actual car, and that's why the Koenigsegg Agera RS is the big thing. These are the poster cars on your wall. Now, let's take a closer look at them. Go for a drive. Find out what makes them so special and why they are the big thing. When I think about Sweden, I no longer think about ABBA or IKEA. I now think about Koenigsegg, Christian von Koenigsegg. And this car that I'm driving right now, the Agera RS, the car that set the world's fastest two-way run for a production-based car at 277.9 miles an hour. One of the most impressive things about the Koenigsegg Agera RS is the sheer performance. 1,000 foot-pound of torque and 1,160 horsepower from the 5-litre V8 twin turbocharged motor that Christian von Koenigsegg built in-house for his own car. And perhaps one of the greatest things about the fact that Christian von Koenigsegg is building his own cars, he's one of the very few manufacturers around today that has his name on his car. His fanatical attention to detail from the very first day he formed his own company back in 1992 as a 22-year-old is staggering. Frozen chicken to the world's fastest car, with a little puppet movie called Pinchcliffe Grand Prix in between. Christian von Koenigsegg saw this film about a race car as a 7-year-old. That was the beginning, the drawings, the doodles, and the birth of his dream that set the tone for the future. It was a passion-filled journey that began on August 12, 1994. For the then 22-year-old fast Swede Christian, a man with a need for speed and a big dream, who took the leap of faith and followed a gut feeling. He worked hard to make his dreams into a reality by forming a car company bearing his own name, with one goal: to build his own car. For 2 years, it was a constant struggle to get a working prototype together, with a high bar and no compromises. The mid-engine CC made waves all over Europe and led Christian to think bigger about his passion project. He knew he had something special. There was an appetite for Koenigsegg, For production and high-speed testing, Christian purchased an old Swedish Air Force base with a super long runway, giving birth to the Ghost Squadron, named after a branch of the Swedish Air Force. His next car, the V8 supercharged CC8S, rocked the Geneva Motor Show in 2003 with the world's most powerful production engine, rated at 655 horsepower. More world records would fall with the addition of a second supercharger to the engine in 2004 with the CCR, which became the most powerful production car in the world with 806 horsepower. 2005, those 806 horses would help the CCR rob the almighty McLaren F1 of its title of fastest production car in the world when it achieved 241 miles an hour around the Nardo Ring in Italy. Perfection takes time, and as the years progressed, so did Christian's dream and vision. The CCX broke yet more world records and brought to an end the production car's run. In 2010, it was replaced by the Agera. Agera means to take action. And this thing is action-packed. Christian's mission to create the greatest cars the world has ever seen with zero compromises is what makes his cars so incredible. In his own words, it's more than a car, it's my whole life. There are no excuses, it just has to be perfect. He probably said that with a Swedish accent though. Christian's pursuit of perfection and attention to detail meant the Agera had been developed and refined over the course of a decade. Until we get to this, the final iteration of the Agera, the RS. The attention to detail is hard to miss, and the longer you look, the more you notice. The detail, the elements. This car is a work of art, and I'm drawn to art cars. It's sort of what I do myself. I add a little of my own personality and inspiration to my cars, and can't help but want to make it stand apart. This car has a very special piece of art wrapped around it, designed by the artist James Jean to commemorate a very special day in this car's history. This actual car, one of 27 made, is a world record holder. At 277.89 miles an hour, it's the fastest production car in the world, achieved by Nicholas Lilji on a public road in Pahrump, Nevada on November the 4th, 2017, beating the prior record of 267 miles an hour held by the Bugatti Veyron Supersport. Well, at least it was the fastest production car in the world, until the VW group got a little upset about it and decided that they did actually care about the world speed record. They opened the taps on a modified Bugatti Chiron and took the crown back. Don't worry though, Christian has another trick or two up his sleeve. That's what makes Koenigsegg so special. It's David versus Goliath, the world's largest car maker with an unlimited R&D budget, versus a genius with a dream. And despite that, Koenigsegg makes practically every part that goes into their cars in-house, available only on their cars, uncompromising in the pursuit of engineering and performance perfection. Practically everything is made from carbon fiber, and you could search the entire car, and you'd never find a section that isn't perfectly woven and expertly matched. The engine, suspension, frame and chassis are all bespoke. It has carbon fiber wheels designed like turbines to extract heat from the car's brakes. These are components which take thousands of hours to design, test and produce, and you'd have to be crazy or a little bit of a genius to do all of this for such a low volume run of cars. This is what enabled Koenigsegg to set all those records. Like most things Swedish, the car is good looking, and just like ABBA or the Swedish House Mafia, the car sounds pretty great too. give you a feeling when you get into them. And from behind the wheel of the Agera, I can feel Christian's passion. I can feel his never say die mentality. And I can feel the fact that he was never going to let anything get between him and his dreams. The performance that car has on a twisty road like this is just unbelievable. The amount of mechanical grit, the power delivery from the twin turbo is just super duper punchy. I mean, obviously for a car that holds or held the land speed record of 277 miles an hour, we're not even scratching, half of the performance that this car is capable of on a road like this. But I will say it demands attention, it demands focus. How fast the car can go, the road and environment always determine the speed and just how far you can travel. Angeli's Crest Highway starts at La Cammisa and ends in Wrightwood 66 miles later. It's over 7,000 feet higher at its tallest spot, and it's not uncommon to find snow less than 60 miles from downtown LA. And today is one of those days. I'm driving the world's fastest car, valued at $10 million, at a fraction of its top speed on a very icy, gritty road, with the owner following a few cars behind, feeling a little nervous and slightly uncomfortable, since this is perhaps the first time this car has been in such an extreme environment. After all, this car is usually more at home on track, but the car's true value is more than money and records. Its real value is in memorable moments. Well, we found snow. So I always say it doesn't matter what car you find yourself in on my favorite road, which I will say all the time is a world-class driving road. But being behind the wheel of this car, the Agera RS, is just intoxicating. Just the way the power comes on. It's like, too much is never enough. There's more than you need for this road. We're not even getting 50% of the capability of all of those 1,160 horsepower, or all of those, 1,000 foot-pound of torques. But I have to say the road is always challenging, whatever time of year you come on it, especially after it's rained and snowed, making what I always love to talk about, memorable moments. And this will certainly go down as a memorable moment, a memorable drive in an iconic car. All cars allow you to explore places, spaces, and time. And they all sort of do the same thing, in a similar way, but differently. But exceptional cars give you the opportunity to explore your own capabilities, as well as the car's limits and capacities, often leaving you wanting more and wishing you'd had more time with them, knowing that perhaps somehow you'd left something on the table, but when you were more comfortable and confident, usually engaging all your senses, skills, and emotions, creating lifetime memories and talking points that are shared with fellow car enthusiasts. It doesn't actually take too much time behind the wheel to realize which ones you've clicked and connected with, wanting more time with. Much like relationships and friendships. Sure, some may take longer than others to reveal who they really are, but for me, the gut feeling is usually instant as to whether it's something special or not, or if I'm connected, engaged, and present. Naturally, this is all subjective and personal, but these are the cars you don't want to stop driving or get out of. And when that feeling engulfs you, you instantly know it's the one. The big thing. Score, my friends.